Hello everyone, this is D1 here, and today we are going to be looking at probably one of the most realistic life-size items that Gemmy Industries ever experimented with making. So this is the life-size animated, I guess you could say, Deluxe Santa, hyper-realistic Santa, one of those two. And this item has come a long way, and it actually was very primitive in design. Um, when I first had this item in my possession, the electronics are not there basically. There was no circuit board, none of that. Um, the head was in very rough condition. It was in the Jimmy building for a select amount of time, and at some point the head was on a table. The table was bumped into, and the head fell on the ground and shattered into many pieces. All the pieces were picked up and put in a cardboard box for over 10 years, well over 10 years, and a few years ago, the pieces were finally kind of glued back into place for the resin skull underneath the mask, and then it was kind of loosely assembled. And then a few months after that, it ended up going home with me. And since then, a lot has happened with this guy. Um, he now has a full program, circuit board, and all of that, and it's completely made from scratch. Since there was no circuit board in here originally, there was really no idea what it would have originally said. In fact, it's not even verified if it ever had even reached that point, if anything was recorded for audio or even programmed and things like that. So there's a completely unique circuit board in him. Um, we got Clint Ford we commissioned him to write the phrases and voice the phrases. And then I picked out the music backing track, and CJ Welpler picked out the other random sound effects that, got Clint's approval, because he had a very specific vision for how the audio would sound. And the resin head skull underneath was fully rebuilt. The mechanisms were serviced. They were not in the best shape either. And the whole thing just got, as we would say, a glow up significantly. This item is very large, and they took the whole Santa thing very seriously. You can see there's a Edwardian butler next to him, and there is a substantial size difference in the torso. I mean, the torso is just huge on the Santa. I'm 6'4", and it's honestly not even the most smooth process to move this guy around, especially fully extended and set up. So if you're on the shorter side, this is not a piece that would be easy to move around. I know I'm kind of all over the place in this video, but the lore is just really interesting, what little we know about it. So what I do know is that they kind of called in and flew in. At one point, he was voted, I guess, the most realistic looking Santa Claus in the country or the world or something like that. Probably the country. I don't know who the name of the person would have been. But they flew him in, and he got his face life casted. So they life casted like the most realistic Santa Claus guy, which is really a cool concept. And so the soft PVC mask is extremely detailed. It almost looks like a silicone mask because of that. The butler head was a life cast, but they modified it a bit to look more creepy. But with this, it's just, it's the straight thing. And I don't know of an item number for this. I have no documentation on this. I only have word of mouth and the fact that it exists in front of me right now. So for all I know, this never even got an item number, maybe not even ever in the showroom. And something tells me that this may actually have never received a circuit board, because the head turn mech had the single jack, and it, like the old Butler Wades do, where, instead of two ports for an adapter jack in the neck, there's just space for one. So There was only one in the head mech, but there were two in the head because it's, similar to a brain monster head or a creature head, as you might call it. So that really told me that this thing may have actually never worked. But all of these years later, many, many years later, because I think this was for 2005, I'm pretty sure, this guy finally has a voice and a brain, and it's very long overdue. But it's honestly a really incredible piece. One thing that sticks out to people is that he doesn't have a base, but he still collapses. Guess I'll show that. And, this is all like injection mold plastic or whatever. This is production grade. And I think they might have. I know there's a picture that was on Jimmy's site of a Santa with this body, but just like a solid vinyl head, and maybe the head turned side to side or something. But that's never shown up. And so it's led to people to believe that that was actually never produced, although it was on the website. So maybe one day one will show up, but I'm not sure. But regardless, the build of this guy is production grade. He has a body shell that is the typical rotomold. There's actually a zipper that goes all the way down so you can access the inside. But so this is in resin and pink stuff and all of that. But you can see there's the collapse pedal right there. And then the mechanism for that is in between the feet. And somehow they were able to engineer this to where he doesn't fall over easily even. But it's really insane because if you look at it from the side, he's just standing there. There's no base at all. And this is like a kind of foam-based felt. It's a very nice material though. You have a big belt buckle here. This, which is nice. There's a lot of foam all around this guy. So, there is a base body shell, but there's a bunch of foam added, which really adds to the realism. And if we look at the face here, you can just see all the detail. I mean, it might be a little less realistic because of the flash, but especially with the flash off, which I don't know how well it'll show up. I guess that's decent. It's just really realistic. You can see that there were eyebrows sculpted on, but they ended up putting actual fabric eyebrows, which, they could be in a little better shape, but they're still there, which is cool. You can see he has unique eyes. These eyes are not really used on produced items much. So they're different from the regular butler eye in the design. You can just see all of the little details of the skin and whatnot. The paint job is very well done. And, he's got his ears back there. And what's interesting is he actually has a sculpted on beard, which many people don't realize. But if I lift this up, you can kind of see under there where it's actually sculpted on. So yeah, it was definitely an upgrade for them to put this fabric beard on there. And there's actually like a pillow that helps keep this llama beard up, so it's not kind of just laying flat, which is cool. And overall, it's just an incredible piece. It is requested one day that, because this did come from the original designer, he never liked these hands. These are sculpted hands, not life casted. And so they're a lot less realistic than the head. And one day, I am going to work, or he's going to work to get some large, meaty hands life casted that will look good for the Santa. Very heavy item. It's kind of obvious just looking at it. But there's really not much else to say with the actual item itself. The program is outstanding. CJ Webler worked days straight, basically, on getting it correct. And I don't even know if correct's the right word, because there was no reference for the program. It was completely just made up, and he did an excellent job. The blinking works great. I did demonstrate this in the Christmas life-size collection video a while back, but this is an actual personalized look at this guy. And that's really all I have to say about it. I think I've covered all the bases. He's in excellent shape, and given how, primitive the design was, there's a chance that this might be the only copy of the head that was ever made. With most things, there's at least two copies, one for China to reference, and then one for the Americans to reference, and then additional samples could be made from there. But with this, it might have just been a one-off thing. I'm really not certain. But yeah, truly an incredible piece of history, and 10 minutes, 30 seconds is enough talking for me even. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this guy in and we'll see what he does here. And it's funny that he's hooked up to a Xiaomi button because the buttons didn't even exist yet when this was made, but here we go.
I wish you a Merry Christmas, I wish you a Merry Christmas, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings I bring to you and your kin, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
There's two things to point out before I play through all the rest of the audio. You'll notice that he actually has teeth, but his mouth closes all the way, which is frankly very rare to see on a life size. So that's really neat. And then, unfortunately, the beard does get a bit messed up as he looks around, but that's just how it is.
You know, I don't actually say ho ho ho. It's just the way I laugh. See? Oh, it's a good thing this material has some give. Otherwise, Mrs. Claus would be making me a new suit every year. I do love Christmas time, but it might be nice if you brought me out in, say, June or July, you know. The name's Claus. Santa Claus. I'll have an eggnog. Shaken, not stirred.
What's really cool is how self-aware he is. Like he says, you could take me out in June or July. That's referring to him being up in the attic in storage. And, it's like, hey, I have a life too. I want to experience the world in more months than just in the winter. So I think that's really funny how that was done. Voice acting is great. Writing is great. Truly incredible. And with the program, I really like, I don't know if you noticed it, but aside from the blinking actually moving quite quickly, it actually moves at different intervals sometimes, so he's more expressionable in that way. Sometimes the eyelids will be kind of squinting and his eyes will widen with certain things. Just really nice attention to detail. And I'll go ahead and play through all the phrases one more time for you, and I'll get a few shots where I'm backed farther away so you can see the whole body.
I wish you a Merry Christmas, I wish you a Merry Christmas, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings I bring to you and your kin, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. You know, I don't actually say ho ho ho. It's just the way I laugh. See? Oh, it's a good thing this material has some give. Otherwise, Mrs. Claus would be making me a new suit every year. I do love Christmas time, but it might be nice if you brought me out in, say, June or July, you know. The name's Claus. Santa Claus. I'll have an eggnog. Shaken, not stirred.
But yeah, that's him. And it's just truly an incredible piece. It's It's one of the coolest Gemmy life sizes that was ever planned out, and it's really insane how the whole program might never even have existed. And just now in recent time, he's finally been completed. You know, he was given the proper head mech with 2 connectors to work with the head, um, programmed very tediously. Honestly, so much care put into the program. It adds a lot of realism. Everything was just done super, super well on this guy. And eventually in the future, his hands will probably get replaced with presumably resin life casted hands, so that it looks even more realistic. And yeah, just truly an incredible piece. And there's really not much else I can say or show, but I'm glad I was able to share this history with you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.